just don't think anyone knows what should be done if you have a weakening jobs market, if you have an economy that is, like it's just kind of hanging in there. I don't think that, Microsoft and Google and Meta are really reflective of the economy, right? For all intents and purposes. So if you get a weak jobs number and then you have increased pressure over the weekend on Powell, that came back pretty quickly, right, over the last 2 weeks or so, or last 2 days, excuse me. I think the playbook for a weakening economy and a weakening jobs market doesn't really work right now. Guy made this point, I want to say a few months ago, when the Fed was worried about jobs and they were worried about maybe a stagnant economy, they were less worried about inflation. They cut in September 50 basis points, and then they cut 25, and then the 10-year went up, and it really didn't accelerate growth. What do we talk about the lag, the long and variable lag for monetary? I just don't know what a cut would do right now, given the uncertainty about trade, given the uncertainty not just with China, obviously.
Psychological though, right? I mean, is that action, like the market reaction is immediate because.
Can I tell you something? I remember the second day of 2001, okay? And I know that you got to go all the way back here. And the Fed had a surprise rate cut. And there was this initial reaction where everyone panicked to buy things, to cover short and buy things. It did not take long. But whatever that initial jolt was, we were making new lows. And in many ways, it could signify some sort of panic, right? And if you're doing the thing because you're going out, I think what he has to do, I understand your point. I agree with your point. I think what he has to do is he's got to stop the roll-off of $35 billion of MBS, mortgage-backed securities, off the Fed's balance sheet. That puts upward pressure on mortgage rates. That's the first thing that he should do, is stop that runoff and see what happens to mortgage rates. Housing is a tremendous part, a third of inflation.
I don't know. I mean, I think there's so much involved in the housing side of the equation that it's very difficult to say what the Fed will do will then make people who have a 3% mortgage move out of their home.
And you know who doesn't know how to do it? Doesn't know, and no one knows how to do it.
But I mean, people have 2% mortgages at this point.
Well, we know, yeah. It's 60% of people are locked into a mortgage. You own a mortgage, you don't own a home, and it's the existing home sales that are locked up right now. MBS rolling off is bona fide putting upward pressure on mortgages.
But if we see the labor market start to weaken, I think people would be less. We've been waiting for supply to come on. Maybe it doesn't matter if the Fed cuts.
Right. And what happens then? Housing prices come down. What happens then? Inflation prices.
If you're out of a job and you buy a house,
I don't
happen that way.
We're at historic low unemployment. We're talking about what's palatable for the Fed right now. 6% unemployment is not palatable, but still, historically, 6% unemployment is pretty